What if the key to English fluency wasn't in a textbook, but was a secret superpower you already have? In this video, I'll show you how to unlock it and absorb English naturally, for more stories that will transform your English journey. Hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss out. Today, we are going to explore something that I believe is the most important key to improving your English. It is the skill of listening. I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. Picture yourself sitting in a room. It's a comfortable room. Maybe there are soft chairs and warm lights. And this room is full of people. They are all speaking English. You can hear the gentle sound of their voices, the soft music of their laughter. They are sharing stories, connecting with each other, and you are there with them. Wouldn't it feel amazing to understand every word, to feel the emotion in their stories, and to be able to join in to share your own story? I believe that feeling is completely possible for you. And listening. Listening is the path that will take you there. Listening to English is like opening a door to a whole new world. It's a world where the English language doesn't feel so foreign anymore. It doesn't feel like a difficult subject you have to study in school. Instead, it slowly, gently starts to feel natural. It starts to feel comfortable, like a place you belong. So why is listening your secret superpower in learning English? Well, listening is not just a skill you practice. It is something much more powerful. Think about how a small child learns to talk. A child doesn't begin with a big, heavy grammar book. They don't sit at a desk and worry about correct spelling or perfect pronunciation. No. Instead, they just listen. A child listens to the world around them. They hear their parents speaking with love. They hear their friends laughing. They hear their family telling stories. Day after day, bit by bit, they absorb the sounds, the words, and the feelings. And then something wonderful happens. They begin to understand. They don't know how they understand, they just do. Eventually, they start to copy what they hear. They try to make the same sounds. They learn simple words, then short phrases, and soon they even understand the rhythm of their language, the music of how people talk, all without trying to memorize anything at all. This is the magic of learning naturally, and this is exactly what listening can do for you in your English journey. When you listen regularly, you are inviting English into your mind not as a set of rules, but as a living, breathing thing. You are allowing it to become a natural part of you. Listening is a real-world teacher. It's not just about hearing sounds or recognizing words. It's about understanding the music of the English language. Every language has its own beautiful rhythm, its own special tone, and its own unique flow. The only way to truly feel this is through listening. When you listen to real conversations, you are learning how English works in the real world, which can be very, very different from the English you find in textbooks. You get to hear the natural speed people use. You hear the informal, relaxed language and the common expressions that people actually use every single day. For example, a textbook might teach you to say, "How are you?" But in a real conversation, a friend might walk up to you and say, "Hey, how's it going?" These small, simple differences are what make the English language feel alive. Now let's be honest with each other. When you first start listening, you will not understand everything. And I want you to know right now that this is completely okay. In fact, not understanding every single word is actually good for you. It might sound strange, but it's true. When you don't understand a word, it pushes your brain to work a little harder. It encourages your mind to pay attention to the patterns in the sentences, to the emotion in the speaker's voice, and to the context of the situation, rather than getting stuck on just one or two individual words. Here is a little tip for you. When you are listening, Please try not to translate every word back into your own language in your head. I know it's a natural thing to do, but it can make you feel tired and slow you down. Instead, just relax and focus on understanding the main idea. What is the story about? If you hear a story about someone's day, listen for the words you already know. You might hear words like breakfast, work, home, and dinner. These words are like little clues. They are your anchors, and when you hold on to them, you will find that the rest of the story starts to make sense around them. Your brain is much smarter than you think, and it will naturally start to fill in the gaps. Here is another helpful tip. If you are listening to a video or a podcast, try listening to it more than once. The first time you listen, don't worry about the details. Just let the words wash over you and try to get the main idea. What is the feeling? What is the general topic? The second time you listen, you can pay a little more attention to any new words or interesting phrases you hear. By the third or fourth time, you will be surprised. You'll start to catch even the small details that you missed before. This process of repeated exposure of listening again and again is one of the most powerful and gentle ways to improve. Let's talk about how listening helps your vocabulary grow. Imagine you hear this phrase in a story, "I'm absolutely starving." Maybe you don't know the word starving, but in the story the person might be talking about not eating all day. You can understand from the context from the situation that starving must mean very, very hungry. By hearing words inside a real story, you remember them much faster. Why? Because you have a real-life example in your mind, a picture and a feeling connected to the word. Over time, your vocabulary will grow in this beautiful, natural way, without you ever needing to memorize long lists of words. And what about grammar? Many learners worry so much about grammar rules. But when you listen, you are hearing English grammar in action used correctly and naturally. For example, you might hear someone say, "I've been waiting for ages." Even if you don't know the exact grammar rule for the present perfect continuous tense, you will understand the feeling of the sentence. You will know that it means the person has been waiting for a very long time. By hearing phrases like this one repeatedly in different stories and conversations, you learn how to use grammar correctly without ever needing to know the name of every rule. It becomes a feeling, an instinct. Listening also helps you develop a much better pronunciation. Pronouncing English words can be very tricky, I know. This is especially true when words don't sound the way they are spelled. Words like comfortable or choir can be confusing. When you listen, you learn the real natural sound of these words. For example, you might see the word Wednesday written down and think it's pronounced Wednesday. But listening to native speakers teaches you that it's actually pronounced more like Wednesday. Hearing this helps you speak more clearly, and that in turn helps you feel much more confident. And that brings us to one of the most important benefits, building your confidence. When you start to truly understand English just by listening, it gives you a big, wonderful boost of confidence. You have a moment where you think to yourself, "Wow, I really understood that whole sentence. I understood that story." That feeling of success, no matter how small, is so powerful. This confidence pushes you to keep going. It encourages you to listen more, and eventually it gives you the courage to start speaking yourself. So how can we make listening a daily habit? To get all of these wonderful benefits you have, to make listening a part of your everyday life. The good news is you don't need to sit down with a textbook and study for hours. You can simply add listening into the things you already do every day. Here is how you can do it. Try listening while you do other things. You can play English audio, a podcast, a story, or some music while you are cooking your dinner, cleaning your home, or walking outside. When you do this, listening stops feeling like work. It becomes a natural, easy part of your daily routine. For example, you could listen to an English cooking video while you are preparing your meal. This makes the experience fun, practical, and you might even learn a new recipe. Start with what you love. This is so important. If you enjoy sports, try listening to English sports commentary. If you love music, find some English songs that you enjoy and look up the lyrics. Read them and then listen to the song again. When you connect English to your passions, to the things that already make you happy, learning feels less like a task and more like a fun hobby. You can also practice something called shadowing. Shadowing is a very simple but powerful technique. It just means repeating what you hear in real time. If you are watching a video, you can pause it after a sentence and try to repeat that sentence exactly like the speaker. Try to copy their pronunciation, their rhythm, and their tone of voice. This practice is fantastic for improving your pronunciation and your speaking flow, and it's another great way to build your confidence. Finally, challenge yourself with different accents. The English language is spoken all over the world, and there are many different accents: American, British, Australian, and many more. At first, it's a good idea to pick one accent to focus on, maybe the one you hear the most. But as you get better and feel more comfortable, try listening to different accents. It's a great way to train your ears and become a more flexible, adaptable listener in real-life conversations. How much time should you spend on listening? My advice is to start small. Don't try to listen for 2 hours on the first day. That can feel overwhelming. Begin with just 10 minutes a day. As you get more comfortable, you can slowly increase the time. Eventually, you can aim for at least 30 minutes a day. But please remember, this consistency is much more important than the amount of time. Listening every single day, even for a short time, is much better than listening for many hours but only once a week. It's like exercise for your brain. The more you do it, the stronger your listening muscles will get. Let's think about a real-life example of listening in action. Let's say you decide to listen to a podcast about travel. The host of the podcast says, "Last summer, I explored the beautiful beaches of Greece. I tried the local food, and it was absolutely delicious." The first time you hear this, even if you don't understand every single word, you will probably get the main idea. You'll understand that the person visited Greece, they saw some beaches, and they really loved the food. Now imagine you continue to listen to travel stories like this one. Each time you listen, you will understand more and more details. You might start to understand what kinds of food they tried, or which specific places they visited. With time, you'll start to feel like you are a part of these experiences. You can almost feel the warm sun and taste the delicious food. Listening opens doors to connection and to culture. Listening doesn't just teach you the English language, it connects you with the cultures of the people who speak it. When you understand a language, you begin to understand the jokes, the stories, and the emotions that are hidden behind the words. Imagine watching a movie in English and understanding not only the words, but the deeper feeling behind them. You get to experience a whole new world of books, films, conversations, and friendships. Listening also helps you connect with people on a deeper level. When you can understand someone's words and the tone of their voice, you feel closer to them. You can understand if they are happy, or sad, or excited. You might even start to feel like you are a part of the English-speaking world, able to talk, laugh, and share meaningful moments with others. By making listening a daily part of your life, you will see a big transformation happen. English will no longer feel like a foreign language that you are forced to learn. It will start to feel like something you understand, something that is a part of you, even if you are just a beginner. So I encourage you. Put on a podcast, listen to a story, or watch a video. And remember, every time you listen, You are getting one step closer to becoming the fluent, confident English speaker you want to be. Now let's talk a little more about something interesting. Accents. When you are learning English, one thing that can feel a little confusing at first is hearing all the different accents. You might notice that people from America, people from Britain, people from Australia, and people from other English-speaking countries sound a bit different when they speak. They are all using the same language, but the words can sound quite different. This is completely normal, and I want to show you why listening to these different accents is actually very helpful for you. Let's imagine you are watching an American movie. In the movie, you hear a character ask for a glass of water. The T sound is very soft, almost like a D, sound waiter. Now imagine you switch to a British TV show. You hear another character ask for water, but this time it sounds different. The T sound is much clearer, and the R at the end is very soft water. It's the exact same word with the same meaning, but it sounds different. Now imagine there are hundreds of words that change just a little bit depending on the accent. At first, I know this can make listening feel a bit difficult or confusing. But the more you listen, the easier it gets. And here is why listening to various accents is actually very beneficial for your learning. When you listen to English in many different accents, you are training your brain to become more flexible. You are teaching it to adapt and to recognize words no matter how they are pronounced. It's like working out different muscles in your body. Just like lifting different weights makes you stronger. Listening to various accents strengthens your ability to understand English in any real-life situation. For example, the American accent often uses a strong RR sound. A word like car sounds very clearly like car. In the British accent, they tend to soften the R sound, especially at the end of a word, so car sounds more like ka. And in the Australian accent, they might say a word like day so that it sounds a little more like die. Each accent is just like a different style of English music. The more you listen to them, the more prepared you will be to understand English anywhere you go in the world. Different accents also teach you new words and expressions. Every English-speaking country has its own favorite words and phrases, its own unique slang. By listening to different accents, you learn these special expressions, and you can understand them when you hear them in a conversation. Let's go through a few fun examples. In American English, people often say the word awesome to mean very good or great. You might hear someone say, "That's awesome," when they are very excited or impressed about something. In British English, instead of awesome, you might hear someone say brilliant or lovely. So a person from the UK might say, "That's brilliant." Or when talking about a kind person, "Oh, she's a lovely person." In Australian English, people have their own unique and friendly slang. They often use the word mate for a friend or brekkie for breakfast. So you might hear an Australian say, "Let's have brekkie, mate," which simply means, "Let's have breakfast, friend." Understanding these small differences can make you feel more connected and can make your conversations with people from different countries feel much easier and more natural. There are so many benefits to listening to different accents. The first one is that it increases your understanding in real-life conversations. Imagine you are traveling to a new country, or maybe you are just meeting new people online. You might talk to someone from the UK one day, an American the next day, and maybe an Australian after that. Because you have practiced listening to different accents, you are prepared for this kind of real-world interaction. You won't feel lost or confused. You will be able to follow the conversation and respond more naturally and confidently. It also improves your own pronunciation and speaking skills. When you hear different accents, you are learning different ways to pronounce words. This can improve your own speaking because you begin to understand how sounds can change. You can choose the accent that you prefer and practice speaking like that, but you will also be able to easily understand other accents when you hear them. It also helps you enjoy movies, TV shows, and songs much more. Instead of struggling to understand what the characters are saying, you'll start catching every word. You will even start noticing the unique expressions they use. For example, many British shows might use the word bloody as an emphasis word, like "it's bloody cold," which just means it's very cold. The more you listen, the faster you will understand these little cultural expressions. And of course, listening to various accents builds your confidence. You won't feel so nervous or worried about not understanding someone. You will know that you have the skills to handle any kind of English, no matter where it comes from. This confidence will show in your conversations, and it will help you speak more freely and openly. So here are a few practical tips to help you get comfortable with different accents. 1. Start with familiar content. Begin with something simple in each accent. For example, you could try watching news reports from an American, a British, and an Australian news channel. Or you could listen to different YouTubers talking about the same topic like a movie review. This lets you hear the different accents without feeling overwhelmed by a new topic. 2. Use subtitles at first. If an accent feels very difficult for you to understand, turn on the English subtitles. Subtitles help you connect the spoken words to the written words, so you can see what the words look like as you hear them in that accent. After a little practice, try turning off the subtitles and see how much you can understand on your own. You might be surprised. 3. Find podcasts or YouTube channels in each accent. Find creators you enjoy in American, British, and Australian English. For example, if you enjoy cooking, look for chefs from each of these countries and watch their videos. This way, you are learning about something you already love, and you are also training your ear for different accents at the same time. 4. Repeat key phrases. When you hear a new expression or a word that sounds interesting, pause the audio and repeat it out loud. Try to match the speaker's accent and intonation. This simple action helps you get used to the sounds, making you better at both listening and speaking. And 5. Challenge yourself over time. Start with the accents that feel a little easier for you. For many people, the American or British accents feel more familiar at first. Once you are comfortable with those, you can try accents that might feel a bit more challenging, like an Australian Irish or Scottish accent. This way, you keep pushing your skills forward, and eventually all accents will start to feel natural to you. Imagine yourself at an international event, or even just in an online English class. You meet people from the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and other countries. They are all speaking English, but each person sounds a little different. Because you have practiced listening to various accents, you can understand all of them. You are able to keep up with the flow of the conversation. You can respond with confidence, and you can even ask interesting questions. This is a huge achievement, and it can feel incredibly rewarding. Listening is your personal guide to learning about culture. Each English-speaking country has its own unique culture, and listening to different accents brings you closer to understanding these cultures. For instance, listening to British English often gives you insights into British humor, which can be a little dry or subtle. You'll notice that British people might not say something is amazing very often. Instead, they use more reserved words like quite good even for things they really enjoy. Listening to American English often introduces you to more direct and enthusiastic expressions. Americans may say, "I love this," with a lot of energy, which is a big part of the open and friendly American style. Listening to Australian English brings you closer to their famous slang and their very casual, relaxed way of speaking. Australians tend to shorten many words like afternoon becomes arvo, and they often use a very friendly tone even with people they have just met. By understanding these little cultural hints, you'll feel like you are a part of their world, not just someone who is learning their language. Listening is so much more than just hearing sounds. It is the path to connecting with people, to understanding their emotions, and to expressing yourself with true confidence. When you put in the time and the effort, you will notice a big, beautiful difference in your abilities. You will understand English not just as a language, but as a way of life. So start with whatever accent you like, add others as you go, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. Listening is the foundation for mastering English in ways that go far beyond just learning words or grammar rules. It is the special tool that lets you feel how English flows, how sentences connect to each other, and how emotions are expressed in a way that no textbook can ever teach you. Listening brings the language to life. It shows you how real people use English in their everyday lives. One of the biggest challenges when you are learning a new language is trying to stop thinking in your native language first. Trying to translate every single word in your head can make speaking feel very slow, difficult, and unnatural. This is where listening works its magic. When you regularly listen to English, your brain starts to notice and absorb patterns, common phrases, and sentence structures. Slowly, without you even realizing it, you will find yourself understanding things directly in English without needing to translate them first. For example, think about a simple casual phrase like, "What are you up to?" This phrase just means, "What are you doing?" At first, this might feel a little confusing, but after hearing it a few times in different conversations in movies or in podcasts, you will automatically understand what it means in English. You won't have to stop and think, "Oh, that means what are you doing in my language?" Over time, this wonderful ability grows stronger, and soon you will find yourself thinking in English more and more effortlessly. Listening is like speed training for your language learning. When you listen a lot, you train your brain to process English much more quickly. This is especially important in real-life conversations. Imagine someone is talking to you and they are speaking a little bit fast. Thanks to all of your listening practice, your mind is already used to this. It can catch the important keywords and understand the main idea quickly without getting stressed. Let's imagine you are at a coffee shop. The barista smiles and says, "Hi there, what can I get started for you today?" Maybe you missed one or two of those words. But because of your listening practice, your brain immediately catches the main message. You know they are asking for your order, so you can reply confidently, "I'll have a latte, please," without overthinking it. This kind of speed and natural understanding only comes from lots of listening practice. English is not just about words. It's also about tone. The tone of voice is how people's voices rise and fall to express different emotions. For instance, if someone says, "Oh, really?" and their voice goes up high with a surprised tone, you know they are genuinely interested or shocked. But if they say that same phrase, "Oh, really?" with a very flat, low tone, you know they might be skeptical or perhaps even a little bit sarcastic. When you listen regularly, you start to notice these small but important changes in tone naturally. You'll know when someone is excited or annoyed or just joking simply by the way they sound. And when you understand these tones, you can respond more appropriately and naturally, which makes conversations flow so much better. Listening doesn't just improve your English. It also makes you a better communicator in general. Imagine you are in a conversation with a friend. You are fully listening to them, not just waiting for your turn to speak. This makes you a thoughtful and empathetic listener, which is a quality that people really appreciate. They feel heard, they feel understood, and they feel respected. For example, in a group conversation, someone might say, "I had such a rough day at work." Because you are actively listening, you can respond with real empathy. You might say, "Oh no, what happened? Was it really busy?" This kind of response shows that you care. It makes your conversations more meaningful, and people will enjoy talking with you more. Listening is the key to building stronger, more genuine connections with people in English. One of the best parts about listening is that it lets you learn grammar without directly studying it. Think again about how children learn their first language. They don't study complex grammar rules. They just hear their parents and other people around them speak, and over time, they learn how sentences are supposed to sound. Let's say you keep hearing people say, "I've just finished," instead of "I just finished." Even if you have not learned the specific rule about the present perfect tense, your brain starts to remember that "I've just finished" sounds more natural in certain situations. Listening helps you develop this language instinct, so you start to sound more natural and less like a textbook when you speak. When you listen closely, you are picking up all the subtle sounds of English that are very easy to miss if you are only reading. Every language has sounds that are unique, and listening helps you master these sounds. You start noticing things like the TH sound in words like this and that, which is not found in many other languages. You learn the difference between short and long vowel sounds, like the difference in sit versus seat. You start to feel the natural rhythm and intonation used in questions, statements, and exclamations. One great tip here is to try to mimic what you hear. Listen to a sentence, pause the audio, and then try to repeat it exactly as the speaker said it. This not only improves your pronunciation, but also helps your accent sound closer to that of a native English speaker. Listening is also a very powerful tool for building your confidence. Think about this every time you listen to something and understand even a little bit more than you did before you gain a small piece of confidence. You realize, hey, I understood that I am getting better. Each one of these small successes pushes you forward. It makes you feel more prepared to speak, even if you still make a few mistakes. For example, after listening to several podcasts about a certain topic, you might feel ready to join a conversation about it. You will know some of the key phrases, ideas, and vocabulary which gives you the courage you need to share your own thoughts. Listening prepares you for these real-life moments where your confidence can truly shine. Sometimes, even after a lot of practice, you will hear words you don't know. Instead of pausing or feeling frustrated, you can use the context of the sentence to guess the meaning. For instance, imagine you hear someone say, "Today was such a hectic day at work. There were so many deadlines and I barely had time for lunch." Maybe you don't know the word hectic, but from the context clues, the mention of deadlines, and no time for lunch, you can probably guess that hectic means very busy or stressful. This skill of using context helps you stay focused on the main idea of a conversation without getting stuck on every single word you don't know. To keep your listening practice interesting, it's a great idea to mix up what you listen to. Podcasts are perfect for hearing natural conversational English on almost any topic you can imagine. The news is great for hearing more formal English and for learning about current events. YouTube videos offer a huge range of different accents and casual everyday expressions. Audiobooks can help you experience wonderful storytelling and improve your focus and comprehension over a longer period. And listening to music is a fun way to learn about rhythm and common phrases. Each of these different resources adds something unique to your listening skills. Finally, the more you listen, the more resilient you become. You will get used to the feeling of not understanding everything right away. And instead of giving up, you will learn to stay calm, focus on what you do understand, and just keep going. This resilience is what separates good language learners from great ones. Every time you push through a listening exercise that feels a little difficult, you are building your patience and your determination. You learn that even if you don't catch every single word, you are still learning and you are still growing. Over time, this resilience will make you feel unstoppable, and nothing in English will feel too difficult for you anymore. Listening is your superpower. It truly is. It is the quiet, gentle skill that builds every other part of your English, your vocabulary, your pronunciation, your grammar, and most importantly, your confidence. By making listening a daily habit, you are giving yourself the best possible foundation to succeed not just in learning English, but in connecting with the wonderful wide world. So please let listening be the foundation of your English journey. Start with just 5 or 10 minutes today. Then gradually increase it as you start to feel more comfortable. Embrace every new accent you hear, every new word you learn, and every unique phrase you discover. And please remember that every single minute you spend listening is a step toward fluency. Believe in the process, enjoy the journey, and know that every time you press play, you are bringing yourself one step closer to understanding, connecting, and shining in English. Thank you for listening with me today.